Welcome to the EcoParent Podcast Network. I'm Sam, the founder of EcoParent magazine. My partner Alexis and I had zero experience in the publishing industry, no money, and a new baby. But we quit our jobs, leapt into the unknown, and started EcoParent magazine anyway. It was absolutely freaking terrifying. But at the same time, it felt right. Just a few years into the journey, Alexis was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer that later found its way to her brain. It was utter chaos, navigating treatment schedules, caring for a 3-year-old, and trying to run a fledgling business, not to mention the general emotional havoc. Alexis didn't make it, but the rest of us did, and I've spent the years since raising a wonderful son and building EcoParent into North America's top print magazine for conscientious families. Even 10 years in, we're still a very small crew. If you send an email, it's probably me that will answer you. And this podcast network is a monumental step for us, another leap into the unknown. But like before, it just feels right. And I know that Alexis would agree that the podcasting team I've assembled here is an incredible group of people whose only goal is to inspire the best in you. Okay, I'm going to shut up now and let you listen to the podcast. Thank you so much for stopping by. You're the reason we do what we do.
Hello, beautiful. Welcome to True Beauty Confessions, a safe space to do exactly that. Confess our truths, our feelings, and unpack everything that makes us beautiful. Thank you for joining me. I'm Michelle. I'm very excited that Kate Waugh from 9 Mile North Tiny Homes is with us, and Celeste Morriseau from the big city of Toronto. I wanted to do this initially with you two amazing women because this is all about new starts, new beginnings. And it is also about how, whether it's our beauty industry or ourselves, we need to start listening to that inner voice and getting closer to it. So this is our first podcast. So nothing was going to plan. It wasn't going correctly. And then I was like, I'm going to cry. And then I'm going to look terrible. And what I really realized was that was exactly what I wanted us to talk about today, is that close relationship to how we feel and how we look. Because I know from being in business for a long time that I could look great showing up somewhere, but if I don't feel good, people can see it. So what is that? I wanted to know, Kate, Celeste, when was a time in your life that you really felt beautiful, like that glow?
Do you want to go, Celeste, or you want me?
Take the floor. Take the floor.
For me, to answer your question, feeling beautiful happens. It sounds terrible to say, but I often feel very beautiful. I don't know if I make it through a whole day with reigning in beauty, but when I hit that level of confidence and I hit my stride and I feel like I'm presenting my mood and my feeling authentically through the way I've dressed and looked and styled myself for the day, I feel beautiful. And when those things aren't aligning, then I don't feel beautiful. But I often feel beautiful, which I think I'm lucky to have hit that. And I definitely didn't hit it until my mid-40s for sure.
Why do you think that is?
I would say, thinking about when you were talking about your introduction, what makes us beautiful? Why do we feel beautiful sometimes? And for me, it's confidence. And I think when I'm feeling confident in myself, then I feel beautiful. And that might be wearing a onesie at home, making popcorn and, making a tea, but I feel confident and secure and happy and excited, then I feel beautiful. It comes out in that way, for sure. And the times when I haven't felt beautiful, the opposite.
Yeah, I really love what you said about that, because that's the kind of process I went through today. I was feeling like I'm not confident. This isn't going to plan. It was interesting because what I started to do was I thought, okay, so I have to change the way I feel. So I ended up going for a walk and I went down to the beach and I was like, this is so beautiful. So I got air and oxygen. And then I was like, I need to make sure I have water. So then I hydrated and had water. And then I clean my space.
Mm-hmm.
And I put on the diffuser and I put on something I like to smell. And then I put on good music. And it was so interesting because it made me realize how we look is so close to how we are caring for also our physical realm. And I'm a philosophy of religious studies major. So I've really struggled with this because it's like there's only two camps. There's like, oh, everything is physical. There's nothing beyond this. So there's only making the space pretty. Or there's, oh, the physical doesn't matter. And it's only that which is abstract that matters in regards to beauty. And really it's not true because they're working together. When I change my space, and even if my space isn't beautiful to somebody else, I feel it is, it really makes me feel good. And I know because when I show up, someone will be like, oh my gosh, you look amazing. But on that, Celeste, what do you do if you're not having the best day in regards to how you feel about yourself? What's one of the first things you can do that makes you feel like you are able to kind of get out of that funk?
I don't think I've found that yet, if I'm being honest.
That's totally
I
fair.
kind of just live with the funk.
Well, I think that goes back to a lot of what you just said, Kate. Like you didn't really feel beautiful until you were in your 40s.
Yeah, I had moments, but I more often thought when somebody would compliment me, I thought they didn't really see me. Oh, you don't know. I actually have like a zit here that I covered up really well. Or, oh, you don't really know what I look like, because whatever it might be. And so I always found a negative within that compliment until I got older and sort of gained that I don't really give a shit anymore what people think. And again, it's obviously not every day, but it definitely wasn't until my mid 40s that I gained that confidence that translated into a feeling of beauty, like walking through, driving in a car and you notice the person beside you checking you out. And, beforehand I might be like, oh my gosh, this is weird, or what's happening. Now I'm like, yeah, you think I'm hot? I am hot, So, yeah, I know.
I'm along with you and Celeste on that because for me, I found it a major struggle, an absolute major struggle throughout high school. And then even I was in equestrian riding. And I remember I was quite a good rider and I came out into the arena and I was on my horse and doing my thing. And the trainer pulled me to the side. Like, I'm going to start crying again. Is this the full moon? Like, what is wrong with me?
Emotions are fine.
The trainer brought me into the middle of the ring and he said, you're the only one who really has talent here, but you need to lose about 20 pounds.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I nodded, right? Because it's an older person. I think I was just turning 14 that age. And to have an older gentleman that I respected say that to me, and he probably, they're pretty serious about their horse showing and whatnot. They're up from the States, high-end trainer. But it really changed.
Yeah, of course.
It changed for me so badly in that one moment to be in the middle of the arena and then someone say, you need to lose about 20 pounds.
That's disgusting. There's a fantastic Tori Amos song about that. There's a song where she says she was a young girl and he looked at me and said, you really played beautifully, but you're really an ugly girl. And she says, and then I thanked him for saying I played beautiful. And she was like, how could I have thanked him for that? It's that, it's exactly the same thing.
Well, exactly. And I said, oh, thank you. That's so sad. But I didn't know. Like, is there a time that you've had that experience, Celeste? What's one that you can remember?
Well, it actually happened probably recently. I was seeing a guy and he would just tell me every day to go to the gym. And I guess people nowadays do it non-intentionally because obviously it's not normalized anymore, like as much in 2021 to comment on someone's weight because there's so many like plus size women now, and I feel like it's become a lot more common. And a lot of guys like to say they like curves and they like a girl with curves, but in reality, they like the girl that has a booty and like a slim waist with the big breast, and in their heads that's what they think is a plus size and like curvy, but in real life like there's stretch marks, there's loose skin, there's like I have loose breasts, my breasts are saggy, I feel like I'm 40 already.
I'm holding my breast right now.
I always do that. I always do this like pickup where I'm like, look at where they used to be.
Literally, if you have big buxoms, they're like drooping all the time, and I don't like to wear a bra.
Neither do I.
I've not worn a bra in like probably since COVID started. I hate them.
So this is a whole new chapter for me. This last 2 years, I had a major health crisis, right? Like my whole body and life changed. So pre that, I have my own product line. I've been doing that for over 10 years. So after I had kids, what I realized is my hormones changed. So I didn't have to work as hard to lose weight. And I'm ADD, OCD, don't stop. Like sitting down is not easy for me. And I didn't have to work to keep weight off then because I was going nonstop. Right. And I worked morning, worked night. I had kids and I did that for 20 years. I was in university, had babies, worked at a bar at night, then got up, took care of kids, and then went to school. And then when I even passed that and I was only working for myself, I still was working at a ridiculous rate because I did not have respect for my body. But my body, I am now 45. And I know it's vomity, but literally, like, I had a 6-pack. I liked it. I felt beautiful.
Yeah.
I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I put my cherry red heels on and I'm like, I am rocking it. Right?
Yeah.
And then I had to go through this whole thing, this facing it, that I had not really faced the fact that I had these particular issues. Like,
those were your beauty standards.
the other thing that happened to me, and I really would love your feedback on it, but my body was triggered into early menopause. So the whole point about estrogen is that's what keeps you all nice and tight and elasticity, like, keeps the boobs up, the belly in, and the skin looking taut.
But it's also stored in your belly fat. And
yes. So that's the point,
if
right?
we get rid of all of our belly fat, we don't have estrogen. Yes.
So, and this is the other type of things I'm wanting to touch on as we move forward on this beauty journey, is that there are reasons why our bodies are doing the things we're doing. And I think if we understand them better, possibly we won't be so judgmental of ourselves, and we might be able to start to see the beauty in these different stages of our lives. Because I went to go put my little 50s bathing suits and they're all cute and structured, and I went to put it on and I'm pulling it up. I'm like, what is that? I was so upset. Then you go through upsetness. I don't know what you want to call it, because then you're like, I shouldn't be like this. This is vain. I don't want to be that person. But there's got to be some balance here to kind of forgive ourselves and move forward. But that really is my beauty confession. I was like, what am I even doing for a beauty podcast now? Like, I'm a different person. It really is laying the framework for what I'm calling the 4 pillars of beauty. You have physical, emotional, mental, and energetic beauty. So moving forward on that, and maybe going back to basics again, in regards to emotional beauty, Celeste, I'll start with you. What is something that you are able to do for yourself emotionally, or something that you've found? I mean, actually, even touching on the fact that emotionally, when we're not feeling it, literally, we can look as gorgeous as we want, and it doesn't matter.
I eat food.
You're awesome.
I like food.
I eat food.
Can I just say how awesome this young woman is? Like, you're amazing.
Yes.
I eat food or I drink wine.
Nice.
That's what I do. I don't think I've amounted to that level of even feeling beauty at that point in my life.
So right now you don't know that you've ever felt it.
Well, I feel like I have felt it, but I feel like it was more on the opinion of someone. When you feel the only way you feel is beautiful is if you're with someone.
Or somebody's telling you they feel you look good. Yeah.
Yeah. And you've never heard or you've never felt someone look at you that way. And I feel like that's what I rely on.
I think that's common.
And when I don't hear it anymore, then that's when I don't think I'm pretty anymore.
Thank you so much for being so honest about that, because that is a big one. Outside validation, right? Those are the messages we're fed constantly in the media. We're bombarded with these images that aren't real. They're Photoshopped. That's one of the things that I really wanted to touch on. when I was going on this new journey was because I was thinking about if you can Photoshop everything, then really what is beauty? The idea that we're expecting external validation. And when we know that, you're never actually going to feel what you want to feel because it's constantly dependent on someone else doing that. And that gives way too much power outside of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird because the thing is, when I have my makeup done and like my hair done, I do look like kind of like a different person, not gonna lie. But when I go on the street and stuff, people will compliment my face and stuff. But like Kate said before, it's like I don't believe what they're saying. I will find everything in my like face and I will tell them like, no, you're not seeing this. Look at my acne, you know what I mean? Like look at this and look at that. Like I'm so overweight. I gained 10, 15 pounds since COVID. And the thing,
Or because you're wearing makeup. Yeah.
exactly. And I even when I sometimes put makeup on my face, like I feel heavier sometimes. And the thing is, I tell them like come home with me and see how I look when I wake up in the morning, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm trying to say is even when they're telling me that, I still don't think I'm beautiful, but when one person says it, like just one specific person, when they looked at me the way that they did, that's when I felt pretty.
Especially if that person can look at you when you think you're at your worst. You know, for sure, that waking up the next morning when somebody wakes up beside you and says, oh my God, you're so beautiful. And you're like, I know there's mascara running down my face and like everything is terrible and I've got sleep stuck to here, you know, but when somebody looks at you when you think you're at your worst and compliments you, you go, oh, I am beautiful.
And then it builds up. And then
Mm-hmm.
when they say that, then you're like, I never like thought anything of this until like I met you.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of that was developed when I did feel good about myself. It had more to do with them than it ever did with myself. And so when you take that away from my life, I just feel like completely like utter shit.
Kate, for yourself, because I think both of us can understand coming from that age and moving forward,
Mm-hmm.
is there anything that you were able to do to get that inner validation to get to the point where you are now?
There's two things that I think really contributed to that for me. And one being on the subject of somebody else telling me that I'm beautiful and celebrating me and knowing they genuinely meant it and loved me and saw me in a way I wished I could see myself, was actually doing that, was taking a second to say, what if I am actually that beautiful? What if I actually am as beautiful as they are saying I am? Wouldn't it be amazing to walk around feeling that? And then why the fuck not? Like, why not? What's the worst thing that can happen? I walk around feeling confident, which makes me beautiful. And I do have to remind myself of that and say that in my head to just say, what if I am as beautiful as everybody else has said? What if my eyes are as nice? What if I do look as great in the morning and I don't need makeup? Who cares what my hair is doing? And I still look beautiful. Wouldn't it be nice to just feel that? And I chose to. But I also would say in my 40s, when I was divorced, I definitely hit my sexual peak. And I do believe strongly that a strong sex drive and wonderful, amazing sexual experiences help you feel amazing. And you do glow and there are endorphins and you feel beautiful and you walk around feeling amazing when you're in that sexual energy. And that I celebrate.
Definitely. I agree with what you're saying. You want to know for myself in regards to that whole euphoria and the endorphins and all of that. The other complimentary act for me is going for a cold sauna plunge. Like,
yeah,
Celeste should know from being up north. But so sauna, there is a Russian bathhouse downtown Toronto. And honestly, that was my haven because I felt so beautiful when I left there.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's putting your body into this, creating these endorphins and dopamine, and you're kind of supercharging it. Your skin plumps, you look gorgeous, you feel so gorgeous. Mm-hmm. And that was really, for me, that was an act that I knew I could put myself in that place of euphoria. The other thing that I want to touch on that you said, Kate, and going forth from what Celeste had said, the one thing that has helped me over the years is obviously teenage life, not great. Everyone telling me I'm husky and healthy and I've got powerful legs. Not what a teenager wants to hear. I was like, did those stupid slim shakes, like all that stuff to get ready for a horse show. It was horrible. I treated myself bad. I made myself run like, I don't know how many kilometers. Unhealthy habits.
Which is how we injure ourselves, because we treat our bodies like an obstacle, right? It's a problem for us all the time.
Yeah, and it wasn't till I got to first year university, though. First year university really changed me, because what happened was I was with these gorgeous women. Everybody first year university, I swear we all put on 15, 20 pounds. But the women I was with, young women, they were, these incredible, like all into acting and just very vivacious. We would go out and go to these piano bars and like get all dolled up and do the whole 9 yards. But I noticed how gorgeous they were still. One of my girlfriends said she had gained 20 pounds. She still had men all over her. And it's when it kind of switched in my brain. I was like, there's something wrong here. There's a disconnect between, what we're thinking we're supposed to be beautiful. And in reality, these women are not doing that. They're just out looking gorgeous, being big and amazing. And there was men, they never not had a boyfriend. So that was the first one. And then the second one was when I had kids. Every stage of my life, I've been like, oh, well, that's it now. Nobody's going to love me now. Look at my body now. Or what are these ridiculous things? And then a few years down the line, when you're older, you look back at these pictures, you're like, no, I was awesome. I was hot. Like, what's wrong with me? But the funny thing is, the older you get, you keep looking back at these stages and you're like, wait a minute, nothing was wrong with me. So now I can say, like yourself, in my 40s, I'm like, no, I have to have gratitude for this because I know I'm going to be looking back on this and be like, what was wrong with me? Why wasn't I kinder to myself? I've walked this whole part of my life going, why wasn't I kinder to myself? And I thought I got rid of all that. I was like, oh, all that stuff doesn't matter to me. I'm beyond those type of vanity concerns. And then no, put me in a bed for like a year and a half, not able to really exercise. No, I'm right back there. Same person. Same look at what's happening to my legs. Look at my belly, right? Because I wasn't really dealing with it because I didn't have to. Because technically, up till the time I was, early 40s, for a 40-year-old, I was within that status quo, if I'm being honest with myself. And then when I'm kicked out, now that's why I have you guys on and why we got to figure this out and why I think not having experts on is okay, because I don't really hear from any experts that are actually bringing these camps together. There really isn't anyone that you're able to listen to that is really hitting the mark on how to help us as women be able to transition through these life stages and to really get to the point where we don't need external validation to say, no, you are gorgeous.
I will say too, going back to Celeste, you were talking about how there's bigger girls and like the beauty standards seem to have changed. Like I was very excited about what I'd been seeing in some social media. I mean, not most, but I felt like there has been a shift, or I hoped there had been a shift so that, young women didn't feel that beauty came in one specific Barbie box. And do you feel like that's true for you, Celeste? Or do you feel like the same standards are still just heaped on you?
Well, the thing is, like, I've asked, like, my mom, like, I've always been, like, a bigger girl. And even when I dropped, like, 45 pounds, I still felt terrible about myself. But the thing is, I've always been able to get, like, attention in the sense that someone is going to find me attractive, even with my extra weight. But then I feel like the idea that they have, like, it's like the guy that I recently just met. Like, I met him like twice, and every day, the times that we were not meeting, he would message me and tell me to go to the gym. The thing is, I feel like these people, they think that, like, I do have an hourglass figure, but the thing is, obviously, I have extra weight on that figure. And I feel like that they just think in their heads that she has potential, you know what I mean? To be like slim thick. Like half the time when I'm at a club or something, I do get a lot of attention because there's not many people with my body type in there. And it's the same thing with my friend Maddie. She's not skinny. She has a lot of curves. And the thing is, boys lean towards more that now. But the thing is, I feel like they don't expect the stretch marks. They don't expect all of that. And I don't think they have in their heads like that's normal. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And they have these ideas that online, yes, it is plus size, curvier women. But the thing is, it's not just that shape.
It's still photoshopped. It's still, yeah.
It's still photoshopped. It's not as authentic as people think it is, and then they have that idea that we're gonna look like that without clothes on.
Hmm.
And it's very intimidating, and
Hmm.
it just sucks overall.
I think that's young boys, that's young men too. I do think that as men get older, they learn to, in some cases, celebrate and appreciate and understand reality of what we all look like naked and what things, sag here.
Well, it's also because a lot of boys watch porn and they watch plus size women doing porn, or like even just
Hmm.
regular girls doing porn, and you see all those girls and they look flawless, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And they just have this idea, and it just gets really intimidating and it makes you uncomfortable. And there's been so many times I've had intercourse and I've cried.
Yeah. And we've been there.
Yeah, I think we've probably all been there. And I think that really is the theme of why I want to have these conversations, these true beauty confessions, because we only have one pillar. Like when I'm talking about physical, mental, emotional, and energetic, in this current society, we only focus on a physical. And this is like a green beauty podcast. So it's not that I'm not going to be talking about products, but it is a full circle aspect where, so if everything's photoshopped, if you can just Botox everything, if you can just cut and paste this body, then it is so one dimensional that we just end up in this place of, if I'm not looking perfect, if I can't put this cream on and get a magic perfection, then I'm not participating in this human experience. And that is just, it's so limiting. It's so sad. And I also would say it's not really encompassing what this whole experience is, because we would not feel that longing or the emptiness if there wasn't something beyond it. So there must be something in our bodies that we are wanting to try to resonate with, or we wouldn't have the longing. So it means we know there is a higher beauty vibration. We know that there is something else that is missing, and we can feel it and get glimpses. Like when Celeste said, "Oh, I feel beautiful," when this one person says that, it's creating a vibration. Or like for yourself, Kate, when you had that experience, you're like, I'm going to carry whatever this vibration is out of this room into the world.
Hmm.
Or like for me today, where I was like, nothing's working out. I'm going to be puffy and I'm going to look horrible on the video and all this ridiculousness. And I'm like, hey, whoa, you got to create the vibration and the feeling, and then you can show up the way you want to be seen. Celeste, where do you feel like there's any part that can help move or shift the way you feel about your body, like in those types of intimate situations? Like, is there anything in you with that little voice inside that tells you, maybe if you looked at it this way, it would help you?
Well, I can tell you something, I guess. You know how I told you that basically, like, I kind of relied on my beauty off of him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how he spoke about you, yeah.
To go back in time, majority of our relationship started from online. Obviously, like we texted for like 4 months. We never met in person. We FaceTimed like for 7 hours every day, but he never saw my body. But like when I first saw him in person, he saw my body. I feel like the fact that I genuinely like felt beautiful when I was with him was because I thought he was beautiful. And so for
Mm.
someone that beautiful, yeah, and so for someone that beautiful to see me, someone like that's completely flawed, you know? For someone that beautiful to see me that I'm beautiful, it made me feel so pretty, you know? But
Mm.
then the thing is, we were texting, he kept on ghosting me and stuff. He didn't make me feel pretty.
Well, because you didn't think he was pretty
I
anymore,
didn't think he was
which is such
pretty.
a great, yeah, which is an
Yeah.
amazing thing for you to realize that how that was all wrapped up in each other.
Yeah, and so today I went to the gym, I made my bed, and I'm gonna work by myself, I guess, to try to make myself feel better. But obviously, like, I still love him and everything, you know? It's like that doesn't change. But I feel like the part of me feeling pretty, I don't think he can ever make me feel pretty again.
That goes to the ugly inside, and that's the same what we were saying about the beauty inside, shines out. And what an amazing thing for you to recognize and hit on in your early 20s. So definitely celebrate that.
That is super powerful.
Yeah.
And just, to be in honor of him, like, we have to remember we're all mirroring each other, right? We're all apart and mirroring each other. And that was a gift. We don't always get nice gifts, but that was an incredible gift that he gave for you to get that lesson.
Yeah.
So I think for me, taking from your story, Celeste, it's that reminder that as I venture out, this really is my new chapter. I'm venturing out as a different person in a different body, reminding myself that when I'm centered and in that place of that I feel beautiful frequency, then I am going to be attracting whatever is aligned with that frequency. And we were going to respond back and forth to each other. And physically, it really is an illusion. If you think about the fact that we all see people differently. So there's got to be some physical illusion going on there. Thank you so much, Celeste, because, that really was the part that we were trying to get through in this true beauty confession. And you brought it around so beautifully.
I think that's amazing. I think the idea of learning to rely on ourselves to feel beautiful is a huge realization and an actual path that you can take. You choose to walk that path, you can walk it.
So, if you listen to podcasts or watch YouTube, you've probably heard it 1,000 times before. The plea to subscribe and leave a review or a comment. Well, here we are again. But seriously, the review is especially important to us, as it has a huge impact on our discoverability amongst the zillions of podcasts all competing for your attention. So please consider leaving a review. And heck, we'd really love to hear your feedback. This pilot episode of the EcoParent Podcast Network was made possible with the generous support of Ontario Creates. Thanks for listening.